Okay. Well, good afternoon and welcome to NMA's webinar series. Today we welcome Joyce Weiss. As a corporate communication strategist and career coach, Joyce works with emerging leaders, individuals, and small groups who want to learn an easy and tested process to kick conflict to the curb. Get the respect you deserve. What makes Joyce's consulting, coaching, and online programs unique is not just the content she delivers. It also is personalized, it's fun, interactive style, and 30 years of business facilitation. Education and training experience found in everything she does. She has authored 3 books, Take the Ride of Your Life, Full Speed Ahead, and Communication Skills at Work. She has also been awarded international designation as a certified speaking professional from the National Speakers Association and the International Federation for Professional Speakers, in which there are less than 200 women worldwide that hold the CSP credential. Please welcome Joyce Weiss.
Thank you so much, and hello, NMA. It's the beginning of the afternoon, and I have a question for everybody. Have you ever stayed up at night? You get up and you start thinking about a negative person, and then you go back to sleep. And then about 10 minutes later, you get up again, and you're wondering, what are you going to say to this person? Well, do you want a better night's sleep? If so, you're in the right place. Because I coach small groups, large groups. Today we have quite a few listeners, which is wonderful, to have those tough conversations so they do get a better night's sleep. So we've got many leaders listening and watching right now. And a question I always ask to my clients is, how skilled are your people at having conversations in a respectful manner to make sure that other people feel heard? And I ask that question because that's what today is about. For you to learn some of these strategies, and obviously for you to take some of the strategies back to your people. So many times I'm asked, why do I speak about conflict? Why am I known as the conflict resolution queen? Well, at the beginning of my career, I was asked to be a facilitator at a credit union and for a board retreat. And the first day, it was a 2-day retreat. And the first day was going really well. People were going around the executive table, and the first exercise was, what do you appreciate about everybody in this room? And there was this one woman, she kept on folding her arms, and she kept on saying, "I'll pass." And every time she did, the whole room looked at me. And remember, I said this was my first facilitation. So at the end of the day, I knew I had to do something, but I didn't have a chance to talk to the CEO. All of a sudden, I said, we worked hard today, and tomorrow I'm going to ask you to come back with some ideas on what you need from every person in this room to make your job easier and how you can work better as a team. I said, it's not going to be a sarcastic situation. It's just going to be sharing in a very trusty way. And then I said, and if you don't want to participate, I'm going to ask you not to attend. Now, that was a risk. Everything that we're going to be talking about today is a risk. And I knew everything was okay when the CEO came up to me and she said, "Joyce, I have been trying to get this woman to participate in everything and in team building exercises. She never does." And that's when, if you stop the story, it dawned on me, if a CEO back over 30 years ago didn't know how to talk to this individual, and she wasn't doing anything except not participating, who else in corporate America needs to have their voice heard? So that was the beginning of me saying, I think I'm going to look into direct communications. So the bottom line for everybody here is some of us just don't play nice in the sandbox. And today, we're going to cover 4 ideas. This is my window for NMA. And we're going to start with making conversation safe by using an expression, I want to, I don't want to. We're then going to go to the gap, and you're going to learn how to make a choice of how to react. And then we're going to go to one of my signature trademarks called Be Direct with Respect, which is I am, when, because. And I promise we're going to be going, there's going to be stories and details and case scenarios for all of these. And then at the end, we're just going to quickly talk about verbal Aikido. When people push you, how you don't push, but you pull back. So if you like, even though I can't hear you or see you, but if you like this direction, would you please, and I'm being serious, just stand up if you don't want to, or if you can't, that's fine, and just do a little wiggly dance. Woo! That's how I know, at least. Okay, I'm hearing some of you do that. So, an expression that clients know that I use is from Martin Luther King Jr. And if you could please read this out loud with me. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And this is what my opening was today. I think people really need to hear, they have to have their voice heard. And when we speak our own truth, we have to do it so people hear us and they don't run out of the room. So you get what you tolerate is another expression that I use all the time. And after all my blogs, I always say, and remember, you get what you tolerate. So my question is, are you tolerating fighting? Are you tolerating people who don't talk and they're silent? What about those rolling eyes? We've all experienced that. Or are people happy, they're smiling at work, or they're very productive? So there are some people, when it comes to conflict, that scream. They're like the lions. And they are heard, and people run away from them. Then there are people who are the volcanoes. And it could be even you, where you hold things in, and then all of a sudden you erupt. And if it's someone else, you say to yourself, where did that come from? We all know people like that. And then how about the ones with the ducks, with the heads in the water? People who just don't want to deal with conflict. Well, my challenge is always, you get what you tolerate. Will it be chaos or calm? And that's what today is. So if you think of the dandelion, I know it's not my favorite weed. I'm based in Michigan. So if you think of the dandelion, it's almost, you need to get rid of the root of the problem. You hold up the weed and you blow it, and all of a sudden there's nothing on the stem. The next day, you get all these gorgeous weeds. So you need to get rid of the root of the problem first. Blowing in the wind will not get rid of it. And that's what today is about. It's how to, I hate saying confront conflict because that sounds too aggressive, but at least deal with it in an easy and direct way. So deal with the conflict. It won't disappear on its own. So this story is all about a wolf. And if you have a piece of paper, or a tablet, I would like you to write down the lesson that you get from this story. And that's part of what I'm about, is I like people to revisit some of the things that we do, because that's how it's not important for you to, whether you enjoy these webinars, but what are you going to do when you get back to work and use these strategies? So there was a grandfather, a Cherokee grandfather, who had a heart-to-heart with his son. And he said, I need to let you know, there's a fight going on within me between two wolves, the good wolf and the bad wolf. The good wolf is full of love, he shares, and he's nice and a really caring person. The evil wolf is mean, a bully, and he scares people and he likes making other people feel fearful. So the grandson looks up to the grandpa and says, "Grandpa, which wolf wins?" And the grandpa said, "The wolf that you feed." So as I go through all of these strategies, and you may say to yourself, "Oh, I can't do this. I'm too shy," or whatever. Yes, you can. Which wolf are you feeding? Are you feeding the wolf that's saying, "Hey, maybe I can do this with a little practice," the good wolf, or the bad wolf, "I'm not going to be able to do that." So the choice is yours. So making conversation safe. Let's get right into I want to, I don't want to. When you learn how to make it safe, you can talk to almost anyone about almost anything. It's all about the intent. Now, for those of you who are taking notes, this is not something that I'm suggesting, but let's face it, we all want to say this at times. Your existence gives me a headache. Please go over there and stand over there. So, making a contrasting statement is what this is all about. I don't want, I do want. For example, if there's somebody around that's always giving negative comments, you can say, "I don't want to micromanage. I do want to discuss the importance of a positive attitude." That's all it is to make the conversation safe. We're going to go deeper in a couple more strategies, but at least this is the beginning. How to deal with people who bring problems from home to work. I'm sure this doesn't happen to any of you NMA members. I don't want to overstep your boundaries. I do want to make sure you're okay. Or I do want you to know that I'm here for you. I don't want to leave this unsaid. So that is making the conversation safe. And I need to get the elephant out of the room. If you're saying to yourself, "That sounds good, but I'm too shy," you could say you're too shy or you're not assertive. You could give yourself a label. My philosophy in coaching and consulting is when we think that we can't get out of a bad situation, you're right, versus changing that attitude, feeding the good wolf and saying, "You know what? I don't like what's happening with my team. I haven't liked it for a while. What can I do to make a change?" So if you chicken out now, you're sure going to pay the price later. So on a piece of paper, or if there's anybody here, if you want to write in the chat, and Brian, if not, I can go on right away. But is there anybody who has questions about I want to, I don't want to?
Actually, this is Daryl. Brian was the one who had the audio problems, but
Okay.
right now there's no questions in the chat, so I think you can move forward.
I will. So thank you. So what I'm asking you to do is just to reflect for a moment, because I know when I go to webinars, sometimes you go so fast you don't get a chance to breathe. So I'm going to stop talking for 30 seconds. Woohoo! And I want you to think, who can you use this with? And how are you going to be able to use I want to, I don't want to? 30 seconds. Okay. So we just did I want to, I don't want to. Now we go to the gap. How to protect yourself so you can make a choice on how you react. So first there's There's the stimulus. You can choose how you want to be in that moment. So you can either use sarcasm, you can ignore them, take revenge, let it go, or thank them. Making a choice on how we react is what the gap is all about. You take a deep breath, you step back, and you think, how do I want to react? And I don't beg people, but in a way, I'm close to begging. The next time someone says something to you and you're starting to take it personal, I'm going to tell you right now, when people are nasty or when they push us, it usually has nothing to do with us. I hope you really hear me on that. And many people don't see the space between the stimulus, whoop, and the response. The gap is right in the middle of that. So I have another story, the Rake story. So you go to your neighbor's house and you ask to borrow a rake. And he says, no way, crosses his arms, looks at you really in a mean way, closes the door, and you don't know what just happened. A week later, the same neighbor comes to your house and wants to borrow a shovel. How do you respond? And this is a question that I ask in my workshops. And sometimes people say, oh, I'm going to be sarcastic. Oh, it's okay for you to borrow my shovel, but I can't borrow your rake. All kinds of answers. So if you think how you would respond, another person said, and I thought this was excellent. She said, I would say, I just want to make sure you're okay. You seemed really stressed last week. Of course you can use the shovel. However you say it, hopefully you understand the gap is what makes you decide where and what are you going to say. So think for a moment, when do you wish that you had the gap in your life? When was that moment when you just blurted out something? Well, hopefully you're thinking of something. I sure can think of a lot. So this has triggers. I got to talk about triggers because triggers are all related to the gap because people are triggers for us. It could be that person who is a narcissist who you go nuts and every time you see him or her, it's a trigger and you want to say something. The person who's superior or the person who pushes you back. Could even be your boss. Or the person that's so aggressive, gonna put the hand in front and just say, I'm gonna interrupt you. Or who knows who this person is, but she could be a trigger for you. So triggers, it's the stimulus that impacts our behavior. Be aware of what's going on and engage yourself to find choices. Triggers, they're only a problem if our response to them creates stress. There's some really good triggers. I mean, aromas of your favorite food, it's a really good trigger. Is this really the best use of your time? So I want you to think of a person who really gets you angry. Think for a minute. And if they're sitting next to you, because I understand we've got some large groups today, don't point to them. Envision this person. How much sleep do you think this person is losing over you tonight? Right, none. But we lose so much sleep because we're thinking of that negative person. So now, hopefully, understanding the triggers, when you know who the trigger is for you, you can protect yourself. So can we talk? Of course, I have been talking. So I am a reactive person at times. I am. Why do you think I teach this stuff? Most trainers teach what we need to teach. So certain people set me off, but I now know how to control myself. I'd say 9 out of 10 times. Sometimes I will still explode. So getting mad at person is just as crazy as getting mad at, this is a chair. I don't know if so getting mad at a person is just as crazy as getting mad at a chair. The chair can't help being a chair. And the person can't help who he or she is, but we can change how we react to that person. So I've actually had some clients say, gee, I picture my trigger as a chair. I said, good for you, whatever works. So triggers. Anticipate your environments where your best behavior is at risk. Protect yourself. Get an exit strategy. When you're not happy with the results, you're going to do a better job in the future. So these are triggers. This is the gap. And this is a time I'm going to ask you again, Daryl, any questions? If not, I have an energizer that I'm going to do right now. Not yet? Okay.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, thank you. So this exercise is called Read It or Shred It. It's just to have fun. But every single book that I'm going to mention has something to do with communication or stress. So I don't know if you know how to unmute yourself. If you do, we'll just say, read it if you think it's a real name of a book, or shred it if you think it's something I made up. And hopefully you can unmute yourself. If you can't, I will know that because I don't hear anybody, and I'll just tell you. So the first one is how to raise your IQ by eating gifted children. So is that read it or shred it? Anybody?
Shred it.
Shred it.
Shred it. Shred it.
You did great, but you're wrong. There's actually a book called How to Raise Your IQ by Eating Gifted Children. And I'm so glad that you said shred it. Woo-hoo. So let's go to another one. Why zebras don't get ulcers. Read it or shred it?
Shred it. Shred it.
Read it.
Read it.
Read it.
Read it.
Read it.
You're going to read it. It's a real book. I've actually had people send me emails, not for questions, but what's the name of that book? Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Okay, how about change direction with your tension? Read it or shred it?
Read it.
Read
Read
it.
it.
Read it.
Shred it.
Okay, whoever said shred it, you got it. I made that one up on a rhyming app. So yay. I guess my title didn't make it. How about change direction with your tension? Read it or shred it?
Shred it.
Read it. Shred it.
Read it.
Okay, well that one I made up. So it was one of those. So those of you that said shred it, woohoo! We have two more. How to live with an idiot.
Read it.
Read it.
Oh my God, you're catching on, NMA. Yes. And the last one, people I want to punch in the throat.
Read it.
Read it.
Read it.
Shred it.
Shred it.
Read it.
Oh my God.
People I want to punch in the throat. Well, you did great. Whether you were right or not, it doesn't matter. It's the idea of getting some energy going, because we still have two more strategies. So you did good. So we talked about making conversation safe. I want to, I don't want to. We talked about the gap, making a choice and how to react. Now we're going to talk about be direct with respect. I am, when, because. So it's a learned skill. It's a willingness to risk rejection by communicating directly, yet gently. It deepens the relationship. Let me tell you what it's not. It's not sarcasm, rudeness. You get to work, you get paid to work, not to think. Hopefully you haven't been told that, but I have heard many of my clients who have been. It's not I don't have time to write performance reviews, so I'll just criticize you in public from time to time. It's not, I'm ready to listen to your concerns. Oops, out of time. Thanks for coming to the feedback session. Well, it's truth. And even back then in cave, during prehistoric time, there still can't the two of you still get along? This isn't new, folks. Truth, it is truth with heart, focuses on results, creates a win-win situation. It respects you and the other. So let's get into it. I am, when I, because. This is not new. Some of you that have been studying business books for a while, you've seen this before, but my spin is different. I am, it shows your emotional response. When I, it's a non-judgmental statement. It's how you're seeing the situation, because how it affects you. So let's get into some examples, case scenarios. So a blaming statement, not to be direct, would be, you're always talking on the phone and taking a lot of time laughing with the team. You should stop because you don't get your work done. That's very critical. The power talk, I am concerned when I see the team taking extra breaks during the week because the team's project has a deadline which may not be met. You hear the difference, I hope. The blaming, another example. You're always interfering in situations that aren't your business, and this is making other people angry. You're going to get someone really defensive with that. Versus, this is a safer way, I am frustrated when I hear comments made about other team members because this is causing resentment with our team. The gossip needs to stop. So there was a director who was really upset with one of her employees who kept on making sexist jokes, even though they weren't horrible, they were still sexist jokes. And she was getting, the supervisor was getting bad comments from the public about this individual. So this was what she came up with after we worked together. I'm concerned when I hear sexist comments because many of our clients are women. You represent our company. This behavior is not acceptable. We are sending you to a sensitivity training next week. There will be discipline if this happens again. What a surprise, he stopped. But you have to have the conversation, and this is a good way to continue it. Now, if we marry both the making conversation safe, I want to, I don't want to, with the power talk, let me show you and tell you how it works. So John, this was a client that just brought this up about a month ago. There was a colleague who people really liked, except when anybody had any kind of feedback, he always exploded. And he was productive, great personality. Besides exploding, his other thing was he never washed his dishes in the company kitchen. So my client said she can't stand it anymore. It's just not fair. So this is what we came up with. John, I don't want to create stress between us. I do want to have an important conversation with you. I don't want to create stress with you. I do want to have an important conversation. So that's the I do want. Now let's do the power talk. I am frustrated when I still see dirty dishes in the kitchen because we agree as a team that it's everybody's responsibility. Well, this is going to work sometimes. It's not going to work all the times. I'm going to tell you, there's no guarantees in life. Did you know that? It did work this time. And John heard this statement and he said, you know, I'm going to do something about that. Now, how about being embarrassed when a boss criticizes you in front of a team? Hopefully this hasn't happened to you. If this has, and if it will, you will be armed. Let's do the I do want. I don't want to be insubordinate. I do want to do the best at my job. I don't want, I do want. Then she said, I was embarrassed when I was disciplined in front of my direct reports because it discounts my leadership. I would appreciate it if you give me any constructive feedback because that's how I learn. But please do this one-on-one. Well, I don't know. This is not the read it or shred it, but think for a moment if you think it worked or not. Well, it did. It did work, and she was heard. How to deal with someone who brings problems from home to work. We started that with the I don't want, I do want. So it could be, I do want you to know that I'm here for you. I don't want to leave this unsaid. That's what I said before. Now let's go deeper. I am concerned. Concern's a good word. I am concerned when I see your home issues affecting your work because it impacts your performance and the entire team. So I have, one more that I want to share before we go to the last and the next and last. How to deal with negative comments. I don't want to micromanage. I do want to discuss the importance of a positive attitude for all of us. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing that people are becoming unraveled more than ever because of the coronavirus. There's more frustration, there's more rage, and that could be one of the reasons why I've been so busy doing this particular program. And these techniques, I hope, will help you, especially when people who are so stressed. So this is the person who is negative, and you're tired of it. And this is what you say. I'm frustrated. Easy for you to say, Joyce. I'm frustrated when I hear the negative gossiping because it affects our team. That's all you do. Start with I don't want, I do want, and go to I am, when, because. And this is such an important part of the strategies for you as you move forward. So now, what I'd like you to do, if you have paper or your tablet again, write down the biggest stumbling block for you when you're having these tough conversations. Write it down. And I'm even going to ask, and if I'm going to ask one person to share, and whoever this is, you will. I will have Daryl's email at the end. You could send your snail mail address, and you'll get a copy of my book, Take the Ride of Your Life. Great book for this type of situation that we're living in. So, the biggest stumbling block for you having the tough conversation, is there a risk taker here who, number one, wants to tell us and also win the prize? Anybody?
Joyce, I've got one comment in the chat room. I won't say the name of the person, but it says, I have a coworker who has a really bad attitude, rolls her eyes, and is generally a negative person. We started the same job at the same time, and I thought we were getting along, but for about the last 2 years, she doesn't talk to me unless she has to, and talks about me behind my back.
Wow.
Oh,
Now, first of all, would you please, I know you're not going to tell us, and I don't want to know who, but whoever said that, would you please send your snail mail address to, to Daryl, and I will have the email at the end. So first of all, I'd love to talk to you, but I don't know if you want to come on. There's a few choices that you have. You could either accept the fact that this is such a negative person and you stay away from them, which is something that I probably wouldn't suggest, considering this person is talking behind your back. the other thing, and this is a risk, and if you wanted to send me an email, because this is going to take longer than this short answer, but at least to start you. If you want to send me an email, you can get that from Daryl also. You can use these with you. Use these strategies. Sue, I don't want to create stress between us. I do want to have an important conversation. I'm frustrated when we just don't seem to talk to each other because we work together, and it would be nice at least to coexist, something like that. I mean, we can do better, but hopefully this will help you a little bit. Thank you. Thank you for the question, and you won the book. So we talked about making conversations safe. I want to, I don't want to. We talked about the gap, making a choice of how to react. Now, and then we talked about be direct with respect. We married make conversations safe with be direct with respect. Now we go to verbal Aikido. And I have some clients that love it whenever I write about verbal Aikido in my blog, because I say it's easy and it saved my ulcer. So, are you ready? I hope so. So we're going to talk about what to do when someone pushes you. It's almost you have to get into the gap. Someone pushes you. If you push back, you didn't get into the gap because you're playing the game and nothing's going to happen. Versus you pull yourself away from the person who's pushing you. I promise I will have a couple stories to make it even more clearer. So, Aikido, it's a Japanese art of self-defense that employs holds and blocks. It debilitates the strength of the opponent. It's non-resistant. And some of you may be karate experts. Maybe you do Aikido. So this is really going to make sense to you. The person who pulls back is the stronger one. It's a skill that gives you back the control, not reacting to the attack. It's focusing on what can be done. So hopefully you see this. If something goes wrong, and here's some examples. If something goes wrong, don't explain what happened. Explanations sound like excuses. If you call your cable company and you complain about something, and the cable company says, oh, well, we're short staffed and blah, 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 blah. We really can't do anything about it. Well, we sometimes get so mad that we do push back. And I'm not saying that sometimes it's okay to do, but not when you really want to resolve something. So what I do now, and well, we can't do anything for you. The extension is over, whatever. I will say something so I don't push back. What do you mean you can't? Well, I've talked to other companies that do things, and when I complain or other people complain, maybe you can't, but you can find a way to do something. You're choosing not to. Well, sometimes, and I say it nicely, even though I'm inside, I'm going like this. I'm going like this because inside I'm saying, oh, I'm so frustrated. I was on the phone for 2 hours getting to them. And of course, you get disconnected. So here's an example. A person yells at you, a client. I've requested the material 3 weeks ago, and I still didn't receive it. What's wrong with your company? In the old days, before you took a Joyce Weiss webinar with NMA, you'd say, I know, we're short-staffed and so far behind. We're doing the best we can. This doesn't show accountability. The person's going to get madder. Now, because you know verbal Aikido, you're going to say, if it's appropriate, you'll say your own statement. This is just an idea for this one. You're right. Your right is a pullback. When you say you're right to someone who's pushing you, they're going to be disarmed immediately. So you're right. It's been 3 weeks. I apologize for this, and we'll have it in your hands today. We've been short-staffed. It's okay to say it there. The thing is, you're not going to show accountability. Call me in an hour, and if you don't receive the scan, you can count on me. You will get it right away. Here's my cell phone. There's quite a difference. But by saying you're right. So Robert Kennedy, when he was selected to be Attorney General of the United States, he practiced verbal Aikido with his coaches. And sure enough, the next day, the press says, using a microphone, I hope I don't mute it, Senator Kennedy, what gives you the right to be Attorney General of the United States of America? So Senator Kennedy said, that's a great question. You have to go to a good school. You have to know a lot of people, and you have to have a brother who's the president of the United States. Well, some of you may be smiling. Maybe you cackled a little. Well, the press did both. He disarmed them because what they were saying, obviously, oh, you're Attorney General because of your brother. So he got to them. So a personal story that happened when I was working with the firefighters last year. We were talking about all of the training. It was a full day, but we were covering all of these strategies, and we were practicing. And all of a sudden, one firefighter got up and said, Joyce, you seem like a nice lady. Already, I'm concerned because here comes the, but these strategies just aren't going to work. We work with homeless people, people on the street, people who are on drugs. This stuff isn't going to work. And I'm saying to myself, oh God, Joyce, how are you going to deal with this? And then quickly I said, hey, you teach this stuff. So I pulled back by saying, you're right. He immediately relaxed. His entire body language changed. I said, Rick, you're right. It's not going to work on the streets. It will work when you're in your department and you're having a conversation with someone, a tough conversation, and you want to get it resolved. So the bullies don't exist anymore. So our meetings are better. And that just disarmed. So the next time, and let me tell you, it's hard to practice these skills. It takes time. So when it comes to verbal Aikido, the next time that someone pushes you, please remember either my firefighter or Robert Kennedy and pull back. You're going to thank me for that. And I have one more story, and this is another personal one. And this has got to do about the gap. So I have a daughter. She's grown with her own son. And she and I get along great, but it's a mother-daughter relationship. If anybody there can relate, say, oh, you bet. Very loving and sometimes very tense. So she called me yesterday, never told the story. And she said, Mom, you're going to be so proud of me. I said, of course I am. But she said, no, this has to do with you. I said, okay. She said, you brought me a stem of roses from your garden, and there are lots of buds on it. And you said, oh, I hope they're going to open up. Make sure you put them in the water. And internally, I was saying, are you kidding me? This is stupid, Mom. They're not going to open up. But I didn't say it. She didn't know, but she was using the gap because she's trying to be nice. And she's doing a great job because she's learning all these strategies, not through me, of course. And what happened is the next day, one of the buds opened up. And that's when she knew she had to call me. So the gap works. They all work. The founder of Aikido said, and if you could read this one out loud, that would be great. with me. I want considerate people to listen to the voice of Aikido. It is not for correcting others. It's for correcting your own mind. And that's what our session is all about. If you don't like something, you have to change it. If you're complaining a lot and being a victim, and we all have pity parties, yes, including myself, but it depends how long is your pity party going to go on. So if you don't like a situation at work, or going to sneak in home too, since some of you still may be home, working from home, then what do I have to do? You have 4 powerful tools to dig you out and make sure that your situation changes. It's all about accountability. We have leaders watching and listening right now. You want your people to be accountable too. So, Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorite sayings from her: develop skin as thick as a rhinoceros's hide. Understand that with leadership comes criticism. Accept it, be ready for it, be strong in the face of unjust attack. I love that one. Understand that with leadership comes criticism. Accept it and be ready for it. Be strong in the face of unjust attacks. So before I conclude, I would like to know if there are questions or comments, and if not, I have an action statement that I want you to think about. So Daryl, any questions or comments?
There's nothing in chat, but I believe our person who had the question in chat earlier wanted to ask a question. So
Great, I'm here. Did the person want to ask it right now?
I think she did it. She said she may have been having some audio problems.
Oh, okay. Well, tell you what, when you come on, I'll stop. Is that a deal? So right now, what I want you to do is this is one of the most important parts for today, is to decide which tool is speaking to you. I want to, I don't want. Be direct with respect. The gap. Verbal Aikido. We covered a lot. I don't want your head to be spinning. So what is one of the most important things you heard? And mostly, and this is the most important part, what are you going to do about it? So is there anybody here who wants to say what the most important thing you heard and what you're going to do? If so, you can unmute yourself and share.
I've got one other question in the chat here.
Sure.
It says, thanks, Joyce. This is great. But what do you do when you do all these techniques and you want to move on, but the person is having trouble moving on? They don't stop and continue to disrespect you.
So so you want to move on. You know it's a trigger, but this person continues. Is that, Daryl, is that what you're hearing? Okay.
Yes.
So we all have people like that. First of all, if I spoke to you, I'd be asking you more questions. But is the person okay mentally? Do they have such anger issues, whether it's with you, probably not just with you, with other people, where they don't know how to stop? Is this person a bully that no matter what you do, because it sounds like you've already done things, nothing gets done? First of all, I would suggest that you revisit this person by using some of these strategies. And if you want to send me an email before you revisit these strategies, and you say, hey, Joyce, this is what I'm thinking of doing. So that's one idea, is to have a conversation with this person. Even though you already did, these are some different ideas. The other thing, protect yourself. I have people who work with narcissists and bullies, and they've done everything. And there's some people, I'm sorry, I gotta say it, these strategies will not work for some people. Aren't you glad that I said this at the end of our time together? There are some people that are so difficult and they are not well, so these rational ideas just won't work. Sorry to say, that means you need to protect yourself. You just have to set boundaries so you don't let them bother you. Because remember, they're a chair. You're you. You don't have to get mad at this chair. So hopefully that'll help.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear
Oh,
you.
okay, good.
Yeah,
Hi,
hey.
this is Jennifer. I had the issue with the coworker.
Yes.
I just want to thank you for that. This information I think will be really great because it just causes a lot of stress with me when I see her. And my manager tried to dissuade the problem, I don't know, about a year ago, and it's still an issue.
So what are you going to do to protect yourself? And I don't, if you don't want to answer, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you do, take advantage of me. So what are you going to do to, you just said that statement, your supervisor tried, you sure tried. So what are you going to do now?
Well, I think using your help, I might try to talk to her one more time, and if that doesn't work, I'll just accept that she has a problem and it's not my problem, and just kind of let it go. I get however I can.
You okay? What is your first name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. It's the same name as when you told it to me, right? So what I want you to do is, I can't see you, but I actually want you to do a happy dance right now, because no, I'm serious, Jennifer, because what you just said, it just warmed my heart, because you got it. And we cannot allow these chairs to ruin our life. This coronavirus has changed all of us. And I have a whole program that I've been doing on how we have changed. And hopefully this program will give you the tools. So, life is short. We got to make the best of it. These people who create such stress, they're not creating it. We're allowing them. So, Jennifer, I'm giving you a standing ovation.
Aw.
Okay. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So is there anything else? If not, I'll give a couple closing comments.
Just had several people say the biggest takeaway for them is the verbal Aikido. So very helpful.
Great. Thank you, NMA, for letting me know. That's like taking a poll. So I know I better continue using that one. So I want to make sure you get out of here on time, because that's an important thing to do when you are holding a webinar. So I challenge you to make conversations safe. Let the gap become your best friend. Use be direct with respect. Learn verbal Aikido. And this is a celebration, what we're having today. I want to thank NMA. I want to thank Brian and Daryl and Steve. Steve and I are the ones that started the conversation when my friend and colleague Christy Stockmer, who many people know, and she's going to be speaking in July, she's the one that recommended me. So the celebration, that's the celebration that you came. You were great. Nobody interrupted. Hopefully you learned some new strategies, and it's a celebration about professional growth. So as we go full circle, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And remember that you get what you tolerate. So I'm sorry to say our class is over, but if you want to go to sign up for my blog, this is what the web page is. You go to joyceweiss.com, and it's every Tuesday at 3:00 Eastern. You will get either a poster or some more information on these topics, because that's what I do. Then if you want a free assessment on how your communication impacts the success for you at work, go to communicationskillsatwork.com/quiz and you'll get that. And then the last offering I have, that if you want to be put on the July wait list, I'm starting another online course called Kick Conflict to the Curb. And it's a 6-week course. We're going to be on Zoom for 6 hours together. And then it includes 2 30-minute private coaching sessions with me. You would get new content every single week covering the 6 weeks on the strategies. And because of NMA, I'm going to give a special founding member price. So if you're interested, all you have to do, and I think this is so much not cooler to do it this way, and then instead of pushing with emails and phone numbers, Daryl, you agreed that you have no problem having them reach out if they want to reach me. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So do I have your right email on there?
That is correct, yes.
Good. So my parting words for you is, which wolf are you going to feed? Please don't feed that evil wolf. There's too much evil going on right now with what's going on in the world. The good is still there. So many opportunities. We just got to look for them. So thank you, everybody. I hope this was helpful to you. I had a great time talking to you all.
Thanks, Joyce. That was fantastic information. Just a couple of quick reminders. If you missed all or part of this presentation, or if you missed some of it, or you just want to hear it again, it'll repeat this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern or noon Pacific time. Our webinar in July is, as Joyce mentioned, is Christy Stocker on self-leadership and goal creation. So we'll be, and then Joyce's presentation and the video or the audio of this should be live on our website on Monday. So with that, I'm going to end the meeting unless anyone has any questions. Okay, have a great afternoon, guys.
Thank you. So you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me.